So my first question to you is that it's a very basic question, and we are going to start with that. So, like, what is your day to day at your office? So, what do you do when you join in at work?
Well, that's a very interesting question because my my office is invariably it's a hotel, so the hotel business or my room if I'm taking Zoom calls and so on. So my day to day is just making sure that we're on track to deliver whatever we need to. So when we're in the middle of a 3-on-3 tournament, obviously it's getting everything ready, making sure that the agencies are doing what they need to, and just organising everything from uniforms to registrations to etc. When we're not in season, so to speak, like now, then of course it's now planning for whatever we're doing next. And I have a team of 4 people that work with me,
Yeah.
as well as people like Kishan and other agencies who help with various things. It's great being in sport because obviously it's a very varied day that you have every day. There's ups and downs, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's but for me, it's like I said, it's kind of living out of the hotel mostly.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Could you please tell us about the business model of INBL?
Sure. Look, actually, our business model is very, very simple. We've
Yeah.
got 2 main objectives. One is to increase the participation of basketball, so get more people playing the sport more often and in more organised ways. That's our one of our main objectives. And then the follow-on from that is to actually improve the skill level and the ability of our players, with the ultimate aim that we can compete far better in at the international level. And that's what we want to do. So it's 2 very simple objectives, and hopefully what will happen is that as we develop more at the top of our pyramid that we're going to show, that we will get funds in, whether through sponsorship, etc., which we can then feed back down to the grassroots level. Um, and that's very simply our objective. So if you participate, you don't have to belong to a club or an association. You can just register and play. So
Yeah.
any 3 or 4 people can register to play. And the beauty of that is that we're making it easy for people to participate in an organised competition. So the competition that we've just ran, we had the finals in Bangalore, and I'm not sure if you've seen any pictures from there, but we put on a great show, and
Yeah.
nobody who played paid a single rupee to play in that tournament, apart from maybe their travel costs. We even put them up in hotels at no cost. So it's about improving that, getting more people to play, and then we want to improve. We want to institute some college and school programs, maybe in elite academies, development programs for development league for under 23s, and then the INBL 5-on-5 at the
Yeah.
top of that pyramid, which is something that we ran in November, December, January of this year and last year. And we created 6 teams and had players playing in those teams from the catchment areas of those cities. So, Bangalore, Delhi, Kochi, Chennai, Mumbai, and Chandigarh were the teams that played. And that was a great opportunity for those players to showcase their talent, because we had the Indian international coach there watching the games, and in fact he ended up picking some players and introducing them to his camp that he hadn't played before. So
Yeah.
look, on that left hand side you can see we want to improve the talent level, and then hopefully we'll have funds that will come down into those grassroots. So we're planning something called Indian Hoops program, which is aimed at 5 to 10 year olds, to introduce them to the sport, introduce them to things like nutrition and the value of exercise, etc. As a charitable foundation is what we want to
Like,
implement.
could you please shed more light on the revenue stream which will help you to achieve all these initiatives?
Yeah, look, at the moment, what we've been doing is, we have a great chairman and a founder and director who are literally putting the money into this program. So Rupinder Bra, who's our chairman, and Dushyant Khanna, who's our co-founder and director, they are investing money into this program. So we've had very little sponsorship money, and the, it's like any other business that to begin with you have to you have to invest in a business before you can reap the rewards. And we're
Yeah,
already seeing that we're getting a lot more interest from the press this time round. So I'm talking to you. We've talked to a few
yeah,
others. So we're seeing that interest grow, and what that will do is it will attract potential sponsors into our league, and the more people we have playing, the better the return in terms of that sponsorship, and that's the model. So sponsorship, media, whatever we can do, is the way that we put funds back into us as a company, but also back into the sport as well. And in terms of assets that we have, we we gave away t-shirts to every single player that played. Last year, we went to 20 cities. We had over 9,000 players, and we gave away reversible tops. And those brands that we had on those tops are still being used all over the country. So that potential to be seen by a brand is going up all the time. We're organically increasing our followers on things like Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, and again, it's an opportunity for brands to grow with us if they're
yeah.
interested. And just I won't name them, but just recently at our 3-on-3 final, we got contacted by a brand who wants to work with us, and they gave away free drinks to all the players and so on. So we know that we will start to attract. So in terms of assets, we have everything from social media and our digital areas. Plus, also we have uniforms, our own uniforms, and even the potential to name the league after a sponsor. That's what we want to do.
Okay, sir. Got it. Like since you were talking about advertisers and assets, so in a sport in basketball as a whole, okay. So what are the marketing assets for advertisers? Not just INB, but in basketball as a whole, as a sport.
Yeah, look, as a sport, I think there's real opportunities to for potential sponsors to do everything from apparel to balls to sponsoring leagues. No, I'm still going. So there's a huge opportunity with the number of people that actually play to uh, to get sponsors involved. But what they have to see is that we're actually organised in terms of what we do, and we're not doing things ad hoc. They need to see this kind of pyramid. They need to see what we've been trying to do. And it's interesting because we had lots of meetings last year, and I think what people were doing, they're just waiting to see how we perform, and making sure that we're just not here one day and gone tomorrow. So I think that's for us, but I think for the whole of the sport, if we can get that organised, then there's real opportunities for people to be involved. Because let's face it, there's a hoop in every school, so there's an opportunity to reach a vast audience in terms of a secondary sport. So we're not going to compete with cricket and so on, but there's a real opportunity to compete as a secondary sport with other sports around.
Okay, sir. So you have worked in Europe, you have worked in Australia. So how is basketball perceived by the audience over there and over in India? What's the difference?
I think the main difference is in terms of the opportunity to actually play in organised sport and so on. So if I take Australia, I coached, for example, under 16 boys, and they would play organised games at least 2 to 3 times a week. They would have the opportunity to play. What I see mostly in India is that there's ad hoc tournaments that people play, and maybe doing some academies and so on. So you can't improve unless you play more games, not just training, but you have to have the opportunity to play against your peers and against better competition and so on. And that's what I find in Australia, in even in the UK, and the US and across Europe, is that there's far more organised competitions to allow people to play against the best. So not just it within their state locally, but actually to play against the best. And that's what we have to try to introduce. So when we're talking about schools league or college leagues, we're talking about how we make those into national leagues. Go zonal, go regional, go state, go, and eventually, kind of at the national level to allow those better players to play. And it's to see if we can actually find those development players, those 2, 3 great players who are playing in the college at the college level, to see what kind of opportunities we can give them into the future.
Okay, sir, got it. Like earlier, since we were talking about grassroots level, so how do you, what is the process while, finding out players and, play, because there are a lot of players who participate. So what is the procedure
Yeah.
when you, find out those talented players from a set of players?
Look, I think the first thing is, as I said before, is to open up that base, get more people playing, more organised, and once we do that, and remember, part of that is also coaching the coaches. So we want to bring some international coaches over so that we can improve the skill level of coaches, because basketball is a technical sport, and there's a lot there's a lot of advancement every year in terms of strategies, in terms of things like footwork, shooting techniques, ball handling skills, and so on. So we need to bring coaches over too. Um, so once we start to identify decent good talent, then the next step is to see how we can provide them with that opportunity to develop their skills, and that's things that we're still working on. So whether we have training camps, or whether we have coach the coaches, those are plans that we're working on right now. Um, Initially, we've spent most of our energy in terms of improving that, trying to get more people to play. And now we have to move on to the next level.
So, like for India, we have multiple homegrown competitions like India Super League, Pro Kabaddi League, and Pro Volleyball League. And these competitions have done so well financially over the years. So, did you take inspiration from these competitions for INBL also?
Yes, we do. But I think the thing that you have to remember is that we're not a professional league. We give prize money, but we don't pay players. We're not a professional league. We are purely the strategy that I mentioned before, in terms of getting more people playing and improving their talent. That's what we're trying to do. So we do take great inspiration. We see that there is an opportunity for someone in the future, but we have to allow other people to decide what that future looks like.
Okay, sir. So, sir, last
So if
question
you
of the day is that looking forward, what are your hopes for the future of INBL 3x3 League, both in terms of its impact on Indian basketball and also about its growth on monetary grounds?
Sure. Look, first of all, in terms of its growth, remember, when we run our competitions, we use the FIBA platform. So that means that every single player that registers has to get onto the FIBA platform, and they start to earn points. At the same time, the country earns points with every competition that we run with more than 12 teams. And the beauty about earning FIBA points for a nation is that when it comes to the Olympics, the countries with the highest number of points, the top three, automatically qualify for the Olympics without having to go through, tournaments, to qualification tournaments, and so on. So there's absolutely no doubt that, not for Paris next year because it's too late, but in 5 years' time, that we run enough competitions to get ourselves up that leaderboard in terms of the point system. So it becomes really easy, which basically means that all the people that are playing at grassroots level are actually helping the country get more points, which
Yeah.
is an awesome thing for to kind of happen. And the future of 3-on-3 is assured, because it's an Olympic sport, and FIBA are putting more effort behind that. So we need to just make sure that as a sport, that we concentrate on both. And what we'll find is that there'll be some players who will start to specialise in 3-on-3 as opposed to 5-on-5. That's certainly something we're seeing in Australia, we're seeing in Europe, we're seeing in the US. And there's actually some big rewards for players who play just 3-on-3. So there's a huge opportunity for everybody.
Okay, sir. And the same question, but on the monetary terms, like how feel like what are your aspirations on the monetary grounds as well from for INBL?
Yeah, look, we want to get to a position where we're at least covering our costs and hopefully making some money, and then reinvesting into that bottom area. And like I said, like any other new business, you have to put that investment in to begin with.
Yeah,
We're seeing that. You know, we used to get, on our Instagram, when we put a video out, we used to get 25, 30,000 people. Now, we're getting over 500,000 people watching. Now, those kind of numbers start to appeal to potential sponsors. And
yeah,
that's where our opportunity comes in terms of getting sponsorship and getting investment from outside into the sport. And that's what our
yeah.
ultimate aim is.
Okay, sir. That's it from my end, and thank you for your time. It was nice talking to you.
Pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for your time too.